Welcome to Real Money Dramas. I never thought I'd be rich. But that night, I became a man with $300,000. The divorce papers were still warm when I signed a lease on this apartment. Bare walls, empty rooms, boxes everywhere. Holly took the house, the dog, the life we built together. I got the couch and 20 years of accumulated junk. That night, I couldn't sleep. Another day ended in silence. I stared at the boring ceiling of my new place, surrounded by boxes and strange walls. Everything was starting over. I'd lost my wife, my job, my purpose. I didn't know where to begin. So I pulled down boxes from the closet. At least I could do something. At least I could sort through something. I had no idea that one of those boxes contained something that would change my entire life. Most boxes held the usual stuff. Old clothes, books, cables that belonged to devices I'd thrown away years ago. But then I found it. A small black flash drive buried under some college textbooks. I hadn't seen this thing in over 10 years. I plugged it into my laptop. A few old photos, some documents, and then I saw it. A text file labeled seed phrase. My heart skipped. I remembered now. Back in 2013, I'd gotten interested in cryptocurrency. I'd written down these 12 random words and saved them on this drive, then completely forgot about it. Life happened. Marriage, mortgage, career stress. The crypto thing seemed like a phase, a silly experiment from my younger days. But now, sitting alone in my empty apartment, I decided to try something. What if this old wallet still existed? What if there was still something on it? I downloaded a wallet app, created a new account, and selected Restore from Seed Phrase. My hands were shaking as I typed in those 12 words. I hit enter and waited. The screen loaded. And then I saw it. Balance, 5.87 Bitcoin. I couldn't breathe. I opened another tab and checked the current price. My calculator couldn't handle the math fast enough. $312,000. $312,000 were sitting in this old digital wallet that I'd completely forgotten about. I stared at those numbers on my screen. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a dream. This was real money. More money than I'd ever had in my life. More money than I'd ever imagined having. I thought I'd found my second chance. But I had no idea what choice I'd have to make. I kept staring at that number. $312,000. But then I noticed something else on the flash drive. Another file I hadn't seen in years. Dreams and Goals, 2013. I clicked it open. There it was, my old wish list. 10 items I'd written down when I still believed anything was possible. Back when I was 35 and thought I had the world figured out. Number 1. Open a coffee shop by the bay with Dad. We talked about it for months. He knew everything about coffee, I knew business. We were going to call it Sunrise Roasters. We even looked at locations. Number 2. Buy Holly the house she always wanted. She'd show me pictures of this Victorian place downtown. Big windows, wooden floors, a garden. We drive by it every Sunday after church. Number 3. Travel to Nepal and see the Himalayas. I'd watched documentaries about mountain climbers and felt something inside me stir. The idea of standing somewhere so high, so far from everything. Number 4. Learn to surf. Holly always laughed at this one. I was afraid of deep water, but something about riding waves seemed like freedom. Number 5 through 10. A motorcycle, a camera for photography, Spanish lessons, scuba diving certification, a month in Europe, and writing a book about my father's war stories. I read through that list and felt something break inside me. These weren't just dreams. They were promises I'd made to myself. Promises I'd completely forgotten about. Back then, I believed I could do anything. I was hungry. I was ambitious. I wrote down these dreams because I knew I'd make them happen. But then life happened. The coffee shop idea died when Dad got sick. Holly stopped showing me house pictures when we started fighting about money. Nepal felt impossible when credit card bills piled up. The motorcycle became a joke when insurance quotes came in. One by one, every dream got smaller, then disappeared. But now, staring at that balance, I realized something. Every single thing on this list was possible. I had enough money to do it all. The coffee shop, the house, the travel, everything. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. Like the weight that had been crushing my chest was finally lifting. I already felt the taste of freedom. But within 24 hours, I learned that nobody was planning to just hand it to me. The next morning, I woke up with a plan. I needed to get Bitcoin off that old wallet and turn them into real money. Cash I could actually use. I researched exchanges online, found one with good reviews, decent fees, and strong security. Created an account. The process seemed straightforward enough. First, I had to verify my identity. Driver's license photo, bank statements, proof of address. I uploaded everything they asked for. The system said verification would take 24 to 48 hours. While I waited, I practiced the transfer process. I'd move the coins from my old wallet to the exchange, then sell them for dollars, then withdraw to my bank account. Simple. The verification email came the next day. Account approved. You may now deposit funds. I opened my old wallet app, entered the exchange deposit address, and hit send. 5.87 Bitcoin, worth $312,000, flying through the internet to my new account. The transaction confirmed within an hour. I logged into the exchange. There they were. My coins. My fortune. Ready to be converted to cash. I placed a sell order. The exchange would convert my coins to dollars at market price. I watched the progress bar fill up. Order executed successfully. My account balance showed $311,432. Real money. American dollars. Almost enough to change my entire life. I initiated a withdrawal to my bank account. $50,000 as a test. The system processed it instantly. Withdrawal pending. Funds will arrive in your bank account within 2 business days. I went to sleep that night feeling like a different person. Like someone who didn't have to worry about rent or groceries or whether my car would start tomorrow morning. 24 hours later, I got an email that made my stomach drop. Dear user, your account has been temporarily frozen. All funds are currently blocked pending a security review. This action was taken due to suspicious activity patterns associated with your deposit. We are investigating the source of your funds. Please allow 5 to 10 business days for this process to complete. I read that email 10 times. Frozen. Blocked. Suspicious activity. I immediately wrote to customer support. This is my money. These coins have been in my wallet for over 10 years. There's nothing suspicious about this. Their response came 6 hours later. Generic. Unhelpful. We understand your concern. Our security team will review your case. We cannot provide specific details about our investigation procedures. I found a forum where people discuss similar problems. Apparently, wallets created in 2013 sometimes triggered automatic flags. The exchange systems flagged them as high risk due to possible connections to illegal marketplaces or stolen funds from that era. My wallet was clean. I'd bought those coins legitimately years ago, but the exchange didn't care about my story. Their algorithm saw an old wallet and hit the panic button. Yesterday, I believed my life had completely changed. Today, I realized that everything could go completely wrong. The waiting stretched into an indefinite time period. But then I caught myself thinking thoughts that never could have entered my head before. Several days passed. The exchange stayed silent. I checked my email every hour. Refreshed my account page constantly. Nothing changed. The balance was still there, but frozen. Untouchable. I hoped this was just formality. Bureaucracy. A mistake. But the silence stretched on and on. Inside me, hope mixed with waiting and emptiness. I felt like I was holding my breath underwater, waiting to surface. I sat down at my kitchen table and opened that old dreams list again. Yesterday, I believed I could do everything on it. Today, I didn't even believe the money was real anymore. I felt like the same person I was the day Holly and I decided to separate. Everything slipping away again. The coffee shop with Dad. The house Holly wanted. The trip to Nepal. All of it fading back into fantasy. At some point, I realized something disturbing. I'd already started living a different life in my head. Mentally, I'd already quit my job. I'd already called Dad about the coffee shop. I'd already booked a flight to Kathmandu. I'd already become someone with $300,000. But now, sitting in my empty apartment, I was just Jason Rivers again. Divorced. Unemployed soon. Living paycheck to paycheck. The same guy who couldn't afford to fix his car's air conditioning. I was afraid to even check the Bitcoin price anymore. What if it had gone up? What if my frozen account was now worth 400,000? 500,000? The fear of hope had become stronger than the fear of failure. I started having weird dreams. Dreams where I was back in the old house with Holly, telling her about the money, and she'd just laugh. That's not real, Jason. None of that is real. I'd wake up and grab my phone, check the exchange app, and see the same message. Account under review. Funds temporarily unavailable. The worst part wasn't the waiting. It was the fact that I'd tasted what freedom felt like. For exactly 48 hours, I knew what it was like to not worry about money, to think about dreams instead of bills, to imagine helping people instead of just surviving. And now that feeling was gone. I was back to being careful about grocery spending, back to checking my bank balance before buying coffee, back to being the version of myself I thought I'd left behind. But I couldn't go back to pretending those dreams didn't exist. I couldn't forget what I'd felt when I read that list. The hunger, the ambition, the belief that anything was possible. I was starting to say goodbye to this whole story. But then I accidentally clicked on one video and felt, for the first time, that not everything was lost yet. A week passed. Still no news from the exchange. The silence was complete. I'd stopped expecting updates. I was browsing YouTube, trying to distract myself, when I accidentally clicked on a video. Some 60-year-old guy with a backpack climbing in the Himalayas. He was out of breath, sweating, but his eyes were alive in a way I hadn't seen in years. The video description said he'd started mountain climbing at 58, lost his job, got divorced, decided to do something he'd always dreamed about. Now he was somewhere near Everest Base Camp, talking to the camera like he'd found the secret to life. I scrolled down to the comments. Most people were impressed, but one comment caught my attention. Too bad I'm already too old for this. Wish I'd started earlier. That's when I thought, am I too old? Would I ever get another chance? I looked at my dreams list again. Nepal, the Himalayas. I'd written that down 10 years ago, and I'd spent 10 years making excuses. Work was too demanding. Money was too tight. Holly needed stability. Dad needed help. Always something. But what if those frozen Bitcoin never came back? What if I waited another year, and another year, and another year? What if I ended up like that commenter, wishing I'd acted when I still could? I had $17,000 in my savings account. Not much, but enough. Enough for a plane ticket. Enough for basic gear. Enough to disappear for a few months and see what was out there. The exchange could keep my coins frozen forever, but they couldn't freeze my life. That night, I made a decision. I couldn't wait anymore. I'd spent too many years putting dreams on hold. If not now, then when? If not at 45, then never. I opened my laptop and started researching. Flights to Thailand, budget hostels in Bangkok, overland routes to Nepal, trekking permits for the Himalayan region, basic mountaineering courses for beginners. Everything was possible. Everything was available. I just had to choose to do it. The next morning, I called my boss and requested a meeting. I've been working at the same accounting firm for 8 years. Steady job, decent pay, complete boredom. I'd been thinking about quitting for months, even before I found those coins. I need to take some time off, I told him. Extended leave. Maybe 6 months. He looked confused. Is everything okay? Family emergency? Personal emergency, I said. I need to figure some things out. He couldn't offer unpaid leave for that long. Company policy. So I did something I'd never imagined I'd have the courage to do. I quit. I walked out of that office building, stood on the sidewalk, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Fear mixed with excitement. Terror mixed with possibility. I didn't know if those coins would ever come back. But I knew exactly one thing. If I stayed here, I'd lose myself forever. The next morning, I submitted my resignation letter. 3 days later, I was standing in an airport with a one-way ticket. Bangkok hit me like a wall of heat and noise. Street vendors, motorbikes, the smell of food I couldn't identify. Everything was different. Everything was alive. I found a hostel in the backpacker district. $12 a night for a bed in a room with 5 strangers. The shower was cold, the air conditioning barely worked, but I didn't care. For the first time in months, I wasn't thinking about frozen accounts or customer support emails. I bought a camera. Nothing fancy, just something to record what I was seeing. I'd never thought about making videos before, but something about being alone in a foreign country made me want to document it. I started filming everything. The chaos of Bangkok markets, street food vendors, conversations with other travelers. I wasn't trying to be a YouTuber or anything. I just wanted to remember. After 2 weeks in Thailand, I took a bus to Nepal. 14 hours through mountain roads that made my stomach turn. But when I got to Kathmandu, something clicked. The mountains in the distance. The prayer flags. The thin air that made me dizzy just walking upstairs. I found a trekking company that specialized in beginner routes. Nothing extreme, just enough to get me into the mountains and see what was out there. The first day of hiking nearly killed me. I was carrying too much weight, wearing the wrong shoes, breathing too hard. Other trekkers passed me like I was standing still, but I kept going. By the third day, something changed. My legs got stronger. My breathing got easier. The weight of the pack felt normal. And the views. Every morning I'd wake up to see peaks that made everything else seem small. I started uploading videos to YouTube. Nothing professional. Just me talking to the camera about what I was seeing, what I was feeling. The sunrise over the Himalayas. Local food that burned my mouth. Conversations with guides who'd been climbing these mountains their whole lives. Subscribers started finding my channel. Not many at first. 50 people. Then 100. Then 500. Comments started coming in. People saying they wished they could do what I was doing. People living vicariously through my videos. I realized something. For the first time in years, I was doing exactly what I wanted to do. I wasn't thinking about what Hollywood would say, or what my boss expected, or what my bank balance looked like. I was just walking forward, one step at a time, toward mountains I'd only seen in pictures. The frozen coins felt like someone else's problem. Someone else's story. I was writing a new story now. I almost forgot about the exchange. And then an email arrived. Short. No explanations. I froze. The email was 3 sentences long. Dear user, after completing our security review, your account restrictions have been lifted. Your funds are now available for withdrawal. We apologize for any inconvenience. I read it 5 times before it sank in. The coins were free. The money was mine again. $300,000, sitting in my account, waiting for me to claim it. I was in a tea house at 14,000 feet elevation when I got that message. Around me, other trekkers were eating lunch and talking about tomorrow's route to base camp. But I wasn't listening anymore. I had choices to make. Real choices. I could transfer everything to my bank account right now. Fly home tomorrow. Buy that house Holly always wanted. Get Dad set up with his coffee shop. Live the life I'd planned when I first found those coins. The responsible choice. The safe choice. The choice that 45-year-old divorced men are supposed to make when they suddenly have money. But something had changed in the past 2 months. I'd been living without that money, and I'd been fine. Better than fine. I'd been alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. The mountains around me looked different now. Not like obstacles, but like possibilities. I'd been talking to other climbers for weeks. Learning about routes, techniques, equipment. Some of them had been planning Everest attempts for years. The idea had been growing in my mind slowly. What if I didn't just trek to base camp? What if I actually tried to climb the mountain? Not this season, but next year. Give myself time to train, to prepare, to become the kind of person who could do something like that. I opened my laptop and checked the account balance. Still there. Still real. But for the first time since I'd found those coins, I didn't feel the urgent need to spend them immediately. The money wasn't going anywhere. The decisions could wait. I had options now. Real options. I could go home and buy security. A house, a car, investments that would generate income for the rest of my life. I could become comfortable, safe, predictable, or I could use the money differently. Not as an escape from my old life, but as fuel for a new one. I closed the laptop and looked around the tea house. Everyone here had given up something to be in these mountains. Jobs, relationships, comfort. But they all had the same look in their eyes. The look of people who'd chosen adventure over security. I thought about Dad. About Holly. About the promises I'd made to myself 10 years ago. Some of those promises felt important. Others felt like obligations from a different person's life. I didn't know where to start. But I knew exactly where not to start. With a house, with a car, with investments. I opened my wallet app and made my first transfer. The first transfer went to Dad. $80,000. I called him from the tea house, using the spotty internet connection. He picked up on the third ring. Jason, where are you calling from? The connection is terrible. Nepal, Dad. Listen, I need to tell you something. Remember that coffee shop idea we talked about years ago? The one by the bay? Son, that was just a dream. We never had the capital for something like that. We do now. Check your bank account tomorrow. I'm sending you enough to get started. Find a location. Buy equipment. Make it happen. There was silence on the other end. Then, Jason, what's going on? Where did you get this kind of money? I told him about the flash drive, the Bitcoin, everything. He listened without interrupting. You sure about this? He asked finally. This is your future we're talking about. I'm sure. You taught me everything I know about taking risks. Time for you to take one too. The second transfer was harder. Holly and I hadn't spoken since the divorce papers were signed. But I remembered that house she always wanted. The Victorian place with the big windows and the garden. I found her number and sent a text. Can we talk? It's important. She called back within an hour. Her voice was careful, distant. What do you want, Jason? I want to help you buy that house. The one downtown with the wooden floors. What house? Jason, what are you talking about? You know the one. You used to show me pictures. You said it was your dream house, but we never had enough for the down payment. Another long silence. That was years ago. I gave up on that place. Well, don't. I'm transferring $60,000 to your account. That's enough for the down payment and closing costs. Jason, I can't accept this. We're divorced. You don't owe me anything. I'm not giving it to you because I owe you something. I'm giving it to you because you deserve to have the house you always wanted. It took 20 minutes to convince her. She kept asking where the money came from, whether it was legal, whether there were strings attached. But eventually she understood. This wasn't about our marriage or our divorce. This was about making things right. After I hung up, I checked my account balance. Still over $170,000 left. More money than I'd ever imagined having, even after giving most of it away. But something strange had happened. I didn't feel poorer. I felt richer. Like I bought something more valuable than any house or car or investment. I bought the ability to help people I cared about. I bought the freedom to make choices based on what felt right, not what made financial sense. For the first time in my life, I wasn't desperate to spend money on myself. I had enough. I had more than enough. The desperate hunger for things had disappeared somewhere in these mountains. I didn't feel euphoria. I just did what felt right in the moment. And a week later, I found myself in a place I'd never even dreamed of. I'm standing at the base of Everest. The air is cold and thin. Around me, nothing but sky, rocks, and wind. No hustle, no notifications, no deadlines, no Zoom meetings. Just mountains and me. Somewhere far in the past is the person who couldn't sleep because of frozen money in an account. Back then I thought freedom meant a house, a car, paid bills. I was wrong. Freedom is when you stop trying to fit in. When you don't have to prove to anyone that you're worth something. When you help people without expecting anything back. Dad is brewing coffee in his small cafe by the bay now. He's happy. Every morning he opens at 6, makes his signature roast, talks to regulars about weather and local news. He calls me twice a week to tell me about new customers, about the view from his window, about how the sunrise looks different when you're working for yourself. Holly bought the house she dreamed about. The Victorian place with the big windows and the wooden floors. She sent me pictures. The garden is smaller than she remembered, but she's already planting vegetables. We're not just exes anymore. We're friends. I was glad to help. I had been happy to help. That feeling surprised me more than anything else. And I'm walking up. Not toward the summit. Not for the achievement. For the path itself. For the chance to stop at some point, breathe deeply, and understand. This is the second chance. And I finally chose how to live it. The money is still there. Most of it. Sitting in accounts, growing slowly, waiting for whatever comes next. But it doesn't control me anymore. It doesn't wake me up at night or make me check my phone every 5 minutes. I learned something up here that I never understood before. Wealth isn't about having enough money to buy what you want. Wealth is about not wanting things you don't need. I wanted to prove I was successful. I wanted to impress people. I wanted to accumulate stuff that would make me feel important. But none of that mattered when I was gasping for air at 17,000 feet, focused on nothing but the next step forward. The mountains stripped away everything unnecessary. All the noise, all the pressure, all the artificial urgency of normal life. What was left was simple. Keep moving. Help others when you can. Pay attention to what's actually in front of you. I'm not climbing Everest to conquer it. I'm climbing because the climb itself is the point. Every step teaches me something about what I can handle. Every breath at this altitude reminds me that being alive is more interesting than being comfortable. Tomorrow I'll go higher. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Not to prove anything to anyone, but to see what's possible when you stop making excuses and start moving forward. The second chance isn't about money. It's about choosing to become the person you were supposed to be before life convinced you to be someone smaller. Thanks for listening to the story till the end. Write in the comments what you think about all this. Subscribe, more untold stories are on the way.